Well, hi, everybody. I'm Don Stewart, and welcome to another edition of Breaking News for this Monday, the 20th day of May, 2024. And the shock waves continue to be felt with the death of the Iranian President Raisi and the fallout from that. Um, Worldwide, there's shock, there's condolences, there's condemnation, there's a little bit of everything, as we're going to see. But there's a lot of things that right now are really up in the air. It's a chaotic time because literally nobody knows except God what's going to happen next because so many possibilities. We're going to talk about a few of these. We're going to find out something else that's probably you won't hear any place else but here. Another evil leader in Iran has been killed. We'll give you that story. Netanyahu calls his arrest warrant that we talked about earlier from the ICC the new anti-Semitism, since he and his defense minister Gallant are compared to Hamas. They put them all in the same, bucket and, put arrest warrants against all of them. And as we will see, the idea of a Saudi agreement with Israel, with a necessary Palestinian state, is again being pushed by Biden's man who showed up in Israel and pushing it again to Netanyahu. And he totally rejects it. There's no reception of that whatsoever. And there's also a really shocking report from Israel that just came out that a month before the attack on October 7th, there was a investigation that took place. What would happen if Hezbollah would basically invade from the north, would invade Israel? And the report said Israel wasn't prepared for something like that. A bunch of towns and cities would be taken over until they could get some reinforcements, some help. So they weren't even ready for an invasion from the north, where everybody thought it would be coming, and they had no idea it would come from the south, from Gaza. So we'll talk about that too. Israel has been totally unprepared, and some heads ought to roll because of that. All right, let's look at these stories. Headline number one: Iran's Supreme Leader approves Mokhber as interim president, declares 5 days of mourning. Mokhber, Mokhber, I guess that's how you pronounce his name. Iran's Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei said on Monday that First Vice President Mohammad Mokhber is in charge of the executive branch and has a maximum period of 50 days to hold elections following the death of President Ebrahim Raisi in a helicopter crash, Iran's official news agency IRNA reported. Additionally, Iran's government cabinet appointed on Monday Deputy Foreign Minister Ali Khamenei as the acting foreign minister following the death of Hossein Amir Abdollahian in a helicopter crash. And as we mentioned on our earlier breaking news, this person held a very important position. And he, like Raisi, were some of the most powerful. Well, Raisi was the most powerful besides the supreme leader, but he was another tremendously powerful person in Iran. So basically, you got the second and third string coming in to take the place of people who really, in some senses, can't be replaced. All right, the deaths of Raisi and other high-ranking officials have rocked the Islamic Republic at a particular sensitive time. Why? Well, domestically, the regime is grappling with deep frustration over the dire economic situation and harsh repression of the people, while internationally, it still faces the significant backlash for doing what? Well, for enriching uranium to near weapons-grade levels, supporting Russia in its war against the Ukraine, and last month's unprecedented attack on Israel. So Iran is really in a state of flux, really in a state of confusion. Now, we also have something that we're not surprised to hear. Remember earlier today, we had a story that some communist came out with his website, said it was obviously the Mossad that did this. It was terrorism that destroyed the helicopter of Raisi. Well, now you have Iran's former foreign minister saying, no, no, no. U.S. sanctions are to blame for the crash that killed the president. Former Foreign Minister Mohammad Javad Zarif told state media that it was the U.S. embargo on aviation parts that caused the U.S.-made helicopter to crash. Former Iranian Foreign Minister Mohammad Zarif said the United States is at fault for the death of Raisi in the helicopter crash on Sunday. Why? Because the heartbreaking incident was based on the fact of U.S. sanctions. That's what stopped the embargoing, the sale of aviation parts to Islamic Iran, causing the martyrdom of the president. In other words, we couldn't get the parts for this 40-year-old helicopter. They couldn't get the right parts, so we kind of, I guess, jury-rigged it together in such a way, and we carted our president around in this old, like I said, junky helicopter, and surprise, surprise, this junky helicopter. Now, and appreciate this. They're coming back from Azerbaijan. They're going through the mountains. They're going through the mountain pass where there's fog, and there's a storm. And this 40-year-old helicopter does not have the sophisticated equipment that modern helicopters have to tell them about, where certain things are, certain avionics that are there, they're standard on all new helicopters. And so it's no surprise whatsoever that the thing crashed. So it's the blame of the US. You'd think with the billions of dollars they've gotten from from the unfreezing of their assets, they could have found some place to buy at least some decent helicopters to transport the president around, but no. And so basically, the former foreign minister said the crime to the United States will definitely be recorded. I don't know recorded for whom, but this is again the finger pointing anywhere but back at themselves. Now, here's the key, and we're going to talk about this over and over again. As we indicated earlier, the shock waves are still being felt with the death of Raisi. While this will delay any major Iranian attack for the time being, it may cause them to hurry up with their enrichment of uranium with the goal of constructing a bomb that would destroy Israel. Therefore, Israel cannot really breathe freely, and they've got to be on guard for this. I know they are, because they can't let that become a reality. Because, again, a number of years ago, the Ayatollah wrote a book in Farsi called something like One Bomb, and said that's all we need. We can destroy Israel with one bomb, the little Satan, then we can get later to the big Satan, United States, and then we'll have Islamic rule. This is Shia Islam that would take over the entire world. And so they're working on that because they have a religious, fervor pushing them. They believe they're religiously predetermined to do this, and so Allah is telling them they must do this. So that's why they're on this course to do such a thing. All right. Now, this next story, as we mentioned at the beginning, is something you probably won't hear anywhere. I only heard it. My wife shared the story with me. Heard it from some obscure website. And the guy said, I don't know if it's really true, and I looked online, couldn't find it anywhere. Well, I checked with my friends and that works with the special forces. He says, oh, yes, it is true. Okay, the chief of Iranian police, Ahmed Reza Radan, has been assassinated. 7 bullets hitting his body. Now, remember how Raisi was this horrible, horrible individual? We've got another person that's horrible. He was the chief of Iranian police. He was behind the murder of hundreds of innocent civilians in Iran in recent clashes. This is probably not the last targeted assassination. We will see now that Iran is in a state of flux. And so somebody felt the okay that we can go ahead and target this horrible person now that people are mourning the death of the president here. Okay. Now, headline number 4, Netanyahu, absurd that the ICC bid to arrest Israeli leaders. It's the new anti-Semitism. So the prime minister greeted with disgust the comparison between Hamas and the IDF. The statement of this ICC prosecutor took Israel by surprise, as it had been working with the ICC, the International Criminal Court, to schedule a visit by the top prosecutor. All right, and now finally, next to the last, headline number 5, Saudi ties in reach. There's close. You could have ties with Saudi Arabia, Israel, but what does it hinge on? What does the headline say? A Palestinian state. As Jake Sullivan, the U.S. National Security Advisor visiting Israel, tells a reluctant Bibi Netanyahu and other top officials. All right. He laid out for Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Sunday the opportunity currently available for Israel to normalize relations with the Saudis if Jerusalem agrees to a pathway to a future Palestinian state. He arrived in Israel earlier in the day after holding constructive talks on the Biden administration's comprehensive vision for an integrated Middle East region with Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, MBS, in Daman, Saudi Arabia, the White House said. The kingdom said the two discussed a semi-final version of a wide-ranging security agreement between the countries. The agreements are considered a major part of Washington's effort to bring Riyadh around to recognizing the state of Israel for the first time, efforts complicated by the ongoing war in Gaza. Now, of course, the effort is a non-starter for Israel, with Netanyahu reiterating, again on Sunday, he would not accept a Palestinian state, even if it came with a Saudi normalization deal. Again, the potential may be available for Israel as well as the Palestinian people, the White House said, but it didn't stop Sullivan from pitching it. But Netanyahu said, no, we can't do that. As much as we like to have a normalization deal with the Saudis, a Palestinian state is a non-starter. So again, we hear this almost every single day, over and over again. Now, here's the problem. Remember, we have the rebellion of Benny Gantz. We had that story late Saturday. that he came out and said, look, I've given Netanyahu like 2 weeks to come up with some type of plan, what's going to happen with Gaza after the war is over. And if he doesn't do that, my group is going to leave the coalition. And we had, of course, a few days before, the defense minister Gallant say there's no way on earth that there's going to be any type of Israeli rule in Gaza after the war is over, or of course it's absolutely necessary, at least for a short period of time. And so both of those people are leftists. Yes, they're political figures in a general, but they're on the left side of the spectrum. And they still think a Palestinian state is a possibility after all this that's happened. So Netanyahu said, no, this is not a possibility as long as I'm in the command. Now, headline number 6, this one here is really disturbing. IDF assessment before the war. Forces in the north would not be able to repel Hezbollah attack. 1 month before the war began, the commander of the 300th Brigade predicted if Hezbollah launched an attack, it would manage to break all lines of defense and capture bases and communities. On September 7th, 2023, precisely 1 month before the Hamas massacre, the IDF Northern Command held a seminar that discussed preparations for the next war, during which a dismal intelligence assessment of Hezbollah's capability was shared. Radio Khan Rishet Bet revealed that the commander of the 300th Brigade's assessment during the seminar was that if Hezbollah launched an attack, it would manage to break all these lines of defense, capture military bases, residential communities, since the forces in the area were not enough to be able to stop it. According to brigade commander, a dedicated force would have to arrive, the cavalry would have to rise and save the day. And then the big army would eventually arrive. But the working assumption in the IDF was that Hezbollah, if they launched a surprise attack, they would not be able to repel it. While on the southern border, no one believed that the lines of defense would be breached. And this was the IDF's working assumption without the residents being aware of the danger. And of course, we know what happened on October 7th. That's history. So again, can you imagine? Here you've got the military figures that figured it's not going to be possible for any type of, Hamas is not going to come up from the south. They're actually making nice to us now. There's not going to be any attack by then. And our worry should be on the north, but we're not even ready if there's an attack by Hezbollah on the north. Yeah, it seems like some heads have to roll, don't they here? All right, let's sum up what we talked about. The fallout is still occurring from the death of Raisi, where finger pointing is taking place, of course. A targeted assassination of an Iranian police chief may be the first of many, as people may decide to rebel against or rise up against their government. If this happens, let's not have a repeat of what took place during the Obama administration. Remember that the people were rebelling. There was an uprising, and the U.S. did not support it. Now we know Joe Biden wouldn't support something like that. He would be asleep on the job. So we'll see what's going to happen. But it seems that people may try some type of uprising to overthrow this horrible government that they have. Now, as we also mentioned, Iran's military adventures will be slowed down somewhat until the new leadership is decided, but it may cause them to speed up the enrichment of uranium in order to construct a bomb. Israel, of course, will not let them happen. So here's where we're at. So many possibilities now have come up, and only the Lord knows what really will happen. We will keep you posted. I'm Don Stewart. Thanks again for watching. Wild day yesterday and today. We'll have the latest stories tomorrow morning for you. Unless something major comes up, that'll be it for the day on this second edition of Breaking News. Until then, as always, check out our website, Educating Our World. We have 65 free books, 12 books on Bible prophecy, all for free download under PDF. You can a portable document file, 12 books on Bible prophecy under the heading of Bible prophecy that deal with very extensive dealing with the last days, 25 signs were near the end, the final Antichrist, the rapture of the church, the Jews, Jerusalem, the coming temple, an introduction to Bible prophecy, prophecies fulfilled in history, Ezekiel 38, 39, invasion, and more. And so there's a lot there, and please take advantage of it. It's all free. All right, until next time, I'm Don Stewart again. Thanks for watching, and may the Lord, as always, richly, richly bless you.